In this video, you're gonna get a relaxingly fascinating and easy basic introduction to the super science of cybernetics and its basic insight. Hi, my name is Nicholas M. Kirchberger, and I'm Master Instructor here at Miradyne Cybernetics, and I'll be your host for today's presentation. Hi, have you ever wondered what cybernetics is about and how it relates to you and to reality? If so, you have come to the right place. Let's begin with a definition. Cybernetics is defined as a study of regulatory and purposive systems. As an aside, the term cybernetics fell out of favor with the year in favor of the name control system theory, as the term cybernetics was considered too vague as it could apply to virtually any human activity. Let's explore this in more detail. Cybernetics control loops have four basic components. First, the environment from which the system adapts, and from which the system tries to control some aspect. Second is the input of the control system, where some aspect of the environment are perceived. Third is the reference or standard, or goal, of the system, to which the input is compared. The input is compared to the goal, and the difference between the two, if any, motivates and informs the fourth step, and tells how much action is needed in the output to reach the goal. But the thing is, by the time the information went through the loop, the environment variable the system wanted to control might have already changed by itself. So even though the right amount of correction was sent as output to reach the goal, disturbances might have already caused the environment to change in an unpredictable way. That's where the control loop becomes useful, as the system allows to go through the loop as many times as needed for the variable it wants to control in the environment to reach the reference or goal state and for the loop to end. This is how control loops are said to be adaptive. They adapt to unpredictable disturbances in the environment to reach their goal. If you don't feel you have fully understood this explanation, worry not, as we'll now see a simple example of this process. It will all make sense shortly. Here's an elementary example of a cybernetics control system in action. This example is called the basic tracking task. In this example, the control system will be me, and the control task will be for me to keep the bottom line in alignment with the top line, as there will be disturbances that keep moving the bottom line in a random manner, like winds that keep pushing the bottom left line left or right at various speed. This tracking task illustrates the basic variables and relationships involved in the cybernetics control loops. In order to keep the cursor under the target, that is to control the distance between the cursor and target, I must move the mouse appropriately to compensate for the constantly changing disturbance to the cursor's position. The disturbances that makes the top and bottom line unaligned and the position in space in time of the top and bottom line constitute the first element of our control loop we saw earlier, the environment. Next, we have the input step, which here is me seeing and feeling the bottom line move out of alignment with the top line. Following, we have the reference or goal comparison step, where I compare the movement of the bottom line caused by the disturbance to where it should move to be in line with the top line. I evaluate how big or small a move, left or right, I should make to bring the bottom line in line with the top line. Finally, we have the fourth step of the output, where I try to physically move the mouse cursor by the amount of force needed to move the bottom line to be right under the top one. These four steps repeats themselves very fast in order for me to try to keep the bottom line in line with the top line as much as I can. The distance between my cursor, the bottom line, and the top line target is called the control variable. In this example, I try to keep the control variable as near to zero as possible. That is the space of misalignment between the top and bottom line. The value or goal I try to keep the control variable at, here the imaginary line under the top line, is called the reference value. When we control, we determine the reference value of the control variable and use it as our goal or aim. You can try this tracking task by yourself to get a feel of it by going to the web page link in the video description. As said earlier, the super science of cybernetics and its control loop principle apply to essentially all human activities in a lot of other situations. Let's see a few examples from real life. Example 1. Science. Yes, science is a cybernetics system. It starts with observing nature, then making an hypothesis, then making an experiment, and then observing the result of the experiment and going to the loop again until we got understanding of nature. Another example is government. The government in free country, Republic and democratic government, observe the people. The politicians observe the people and try to see what they want, how they must be regulated, and regulate the violence and force and coercion in society by making laws. Then the judiciary system with the judge, the judiciary branch of the government, with judge and lawyers and stuff like this, apply the law and try to adjust the law to specific situation and to inform the government, the legislative government, to how to change the law and improve the law with the three levels of the court. Then we have the enforcement systems, which is the police force, which applies the law in the street and keep people from using violence and fraud and stuff like this, and keep the people to be lawful. And then the people react to it, and then the politician adjust the law and see if people follow the law and if the law was effective. If it's not, they do make other laws. That's the principle of government in a democratic and a republican state. Next, we have psychology, where we start with the world, and our body have affective feeling and emotion at the first step of input. Then we have the cognitive and thinking and talking part as the reference state and goal state. We think and talk in order to mention our goals and try to think about how to reach our goal. Then we have the cognitive acting part as the output that acts to the world and then have feedback on how we feel about our action and its result in the world. And then the loops go at it again and loops through the loop. As you can now understand, cybernetics encompasses virtually all human and living system behavior, as well as the behaviors of lots of machines. For human behavior, the control system loops we just saw applies just as much to meditation, where we try to relax or do as little as possible, to playing video games, where we try to win the games or have fun, to driving a car, doing a grocery, running a company, etc. And for machines such as thermostats, air conditioners, toilets, computers, and artificial intelligence all use those principles. Ultimately, the super science of cybernetics applies to all goal-oriented activities and is essentially the science of success and of goal achievement. In conclusion, I hope you now have successfully created within yourself a clear understanding of the basics of cybernetics and can now recognize how it affects and works in all facets of the world and your life. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel, and if you want to share your thought about this video, leave a comment under this video. Enjoy!